You are listening to Radio Maria, a Christian voice in your home. We're now presenting Find Something More, Find Your Way Home with Kendra and Christine.
Hi, everyone. It's Kendra Von Esh, and I am here with my dear friend, Christine Watkins. How you doing today, Christine?
Doing well. Hello, everyone out there.
Exactly, to our audience. And I just want to share a little bit before we get started about how Christine and I actually got together. Deacon Tom Fox, a dear friend of both of ours, made an introduction. He hasn't really introduced me to anybody other than Christine. And this was about 10 months ago. We got on a phone call and we were on a phone for, 2.5 hours. It was hilarious. And then at that time, we thought, man, we should do something. Maybe we should do like live YouTube or something like that. And then 10 months later, we hadn't done a thing, but every time we would talk, which was maybe once a month, we would chat. We would say, oh, we got to do that. We got to do that. We got to do that. And blessings came through Radio Maria, and they called Christine, who had a show with them before, and she said, hey, I have an idea. How about me and Kendra together? So we are live on Radio Maria. I know that there are radio stations all across the country, as well as maybe in Mexico. I think I heard a translator. I'm not sure, but I think it's U.S., but who cares, because you can stream it live from anywhere on radiomaria.us. And we thought it would be fun, in case you don't listen to the show live. We are in the middle of video recording it, and we put it on YouTube, thanks to Christine Watkins, working for many hours to put it together. God bless you, honey. And it gets posted on Queen of Peace Media, and you can subscribe. You have to click the subscribe button, but click the bell after you click subscribe, because when they get posted, you will have a notification in your email or on your smartphone, so you never miss a post. Because you don't want to miss it. This is our fourth show, right? I mean, listen to me. It's our fourth show. So the first show was my conversion story. The second show was Christine's conversion story. And we are both Catholic speakers and Catholic authors. Christine has been at this a heck of a lot longer than I have and has so many books out there. And you can check out all of her stuff on ChristineWatkins.com. And you can check out my stuff on KendraVonEsh.com.
And
you can also,
when it comes to accessing the show, you have to go to youtube.com and then type in Queen of Peace Media. That's one way to do it. The second way is to go to www.queenofpeacemedia.com, and then you click on the picture of our radio show. So there's two ways to go about it. And each show is going to be up a day on YouTube or on the website, queenofpeacemedia.com, or the Queen of Peace Media YouTube channel a day or two after we do it live.
Oh, and your dear friend on mysticpost.com is also posting them as well, which I thought was kind of fantastic.
You can find them on mysticpost.com. Shout out to that website.
Right. Gotta give him some props. So Christine goes for all those who have no idea what YouTube is or how to do www. She makes sure that everybody can get where they need to be. So thank you for stepping in there. I just assume people know how to get to YouTube. So it's good that you don't.
Yeah, I had to learn that myself.
Oh, you trust me. I have many women that I've met along my journey who are like, what do I? And I'm like, okay, here, let me show you. But it's fun. It is. Technology is a challenge, as you and I both know, when we tried to get this thing going. Okay, so that's a little bit of a backstory. And what we want to talk about today, because last program, Mary just took over, which was great. So if you want to hear about Mary and consecration, or really anything about Mary, we both shared our struggle to come to Mary and to understand her role in the church. And this episode, we're going to bring it back to our journeys, because I think it's really important for everyone to understand and to accept that your journey is yours. It's not somebody else's. And all too often I hear people say, oh my gosh, I wish I could hear or feel the Spirit like you have. I've rested in the Spirit. I've had physical, signs from the Holy Spirit and from Mary and from Jesus. And you know what? Be patient, number one, and just know that your journey is yours. And yours and my journey are so different from each other. So let's talk a little bit. Let me refresh the audience about Christine's journey here. Seriously tried every single new age cockamamie thing to find something more in her life and tried it all. I don't have your book in front of me, Christine. So can you just remind the audience all of the things that you tried? Because it was ridiculous. And half of them I didn't even hear about.
Okay. Reaching down now.
Oh, she's got the book.
I've got the book. Yes. Full of grace. Miraculous stories of healing and conversion through Mary's intercession. Here it is. Woo!
That's for the people on YouTube, Radio
yes,
Maria people.
Those of you listening, I want you to look at this. Look. Okay, that's not helpful. So I was into, you name it. It's highly embarrassing, all the different things I did in the New Age movement. It's kind of overwhelming to even think about it. The I Ching, gurus, sitting in front of them as they do what I learned later were magic tricks, runes, energy healings, transpersonal psychology, aura readings, visualization, holotropic breathing, rebirthing, colon hydrotherapy, past life regression, crystal healing, psychic readings, heart opening rituals, astrology, chakra balancing, to name a few. One thing I thought would be really important to mention in the show, because it's something that's not well known but often practiced, even among Christians and Catholic Christians, even nuns. I've run across nuns doing this. It's a New Age movement and it's dangerous, but it's like many other things in the New Age movement. It's very subtle and it's very hard to understand at face value why it would be dangerous and why it wouldn't be at least innocuous, if not good. And it's called Reiki. It's considered an energy channeling that you put your hands on somebody and you channel, quote unquote, the universal life force or Reiki energy into someone. And I was studying up on it because I'd read a lot about it before, and it was very clear to me after my conversion, when I understood Catholic Christianity, how it was wrong. But basically, one would think, if they didn't know any better, why is it wrong to lay your hands on somebody?
Yeah, is it just like a massage?
Yeah, channel energy. Isn't energy a great thing? We all want more energy. I want more energy in the morning. Do you want more energy, Kendra?
My coffee doesn't do it anymore.
No,
yes,
people are buying energy drinks. You know, what the heck is wrong with energy? So the first thing that's wrong with calling on Reiki or Universal Life Force or anything to do what only God can do is you're breaking the first commandment. Okay? I'm the Lord your God. You shall not have strange gods before me. This is a strange God. If you're calling on something to do what only God can do, a demon comes in and says, I'll be your God. You just broke the first commandment. I'll show up and be that thing that you're calling on. That's hard for some to believe, but I'm going to explain, first of all, the history of Reiki and then some personal experiences I had with it, and they both mesh. So in a nutshell, this Dr. Usui, at the end of the 1800s, was a teacher at a Christian boys' school, and he was a minister. And the students asked him, we want some proof of this healing that Jesus did. Can you tell us how he healed? Can you show us a demonstration? Can you walk on water? Can you heal somebody here? So we believe. We don't want to go just on faith. And he took that up as a personal challenge to a tremendous degree. He said, okay, I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna learn how to do these things that Jesus did. First problem. You don't learn how to heal. You don't get a formula and suddenly you can do it. That was his first mistake. And the kids, they made a mistake by putting God to the test, saying, do this or I'm not going to believe. Like, you need to prove. So there's problems at the very beginning. Second problem was he leaves Christianity to find the answer. He studies Buddhism. He goes to Chicago. He ends up atop this hill. And this is so wild, Kendra. He says he thinks he gets his answer at the top of this hill when he says he was meditating there going, give me this power. Like, I want the power that Jesus had to heal, so give it to me, suck it to me.
I don't know. I've had a few prayers that way.
Kendra, we're on the air.
I know. Just like, Jesus, please, are you going to come and help me? You know.
Okay, so he's up there going, come on, I want the power to heal.
Okay, I didn't demand it. I just begged.
Oh, okay, begging. So he, I don't know where he was, begging, demanding. He was searching like crazy. He's on a mountaintop. He says he saw flashes of light, a phenomenon. This is from a book on Reiki. Okay. Light moved very fast toward him. Excited and elated, he thought, this is a test. I will face it. With eyes wide open, he saw the light strike him in the forehead. He fell backwards and lost consciousness. It was as if he died. His vision began as dawn was beginning to break. He looked to the right. Millions of bubbles in the colors of rainbows were dancing in front of him. And then it goes on and on about how these bubbles started floating around in rainbow colors, and then they started to form symbols, and in golden letters in front of him, golden symbols, but you never know what the symbols were. Supposedly he knew what they meant, and then he heard the words, remember, remember, remember. And then he says he had the gift after that. He healed his big toe, yada, yada. When it started to bleed, he went into town. He would heal beggars, but then they would get sick again. And instead of thinking, well, maybe this isn't really what I think it is, he thought it's just because I didn't charge them money and they're not grateful. If I charge them money and they put more thought and respect into the gift, then they'll stay healed. So his logic, he went on to pass and teach Reiki, calling on this power, to a general. He was a commander in the Imperial Navy, and he was Chujiro Hayashi. And guess what Hayashi did? He, being a commander in the Imperial Navy, he gathered his friends and he gathered the Reiki masters when he was going to have to go to war again, and he didn't want to go to war. So this chapter in the book said that it's titled his charity, Hayashi's charity. His charity was to gather everyone in the room with him and use Reiki to kill himself in front of them. He literally used this power to bust a brain vessel in his head and cause himself to bleed and die in front of them so he wouldn't have to go to war. I'm all for, pacifist modes of action. But so, I mean, you got to see how, and then it comes into America through a woman named Tanaka. It goes through Hawaii. She's Japanese. She spreads it for years. Now it's all over the United States. Nuns are doing it. You pay money to go to a workshop. You pay more money to go to the higher level workshops to be an even bigger healer, to get more power to heal. And one thing that's really also interesting is I went to one of these in my New Age days, and the woman who transferred the Reiki power to me, she did some symbols with her hand in front of me and then blew on me. So it's really fantastic to see how.
Where did she blow on you? On your face?
Yeah.
No way.
I mean, it was a little weird. I went, whoa. But isn't that what Jesus said? Jesus breathed the Holy Spirit.
Oh, okay.
So basically, there was no spit. That was okay. But the New Age, you'll see it copies. It portrays itself as something beautiful. But it's subtly wrong. You can't pay for the gift of healing. It's a free gift from the Lord. And people have it, sometimes they get the charism of healing, but they don't get it because they pay for it.
Right.
And they take a workshop. And it's also not something that you demand. You can ask for it, of course. But also, is the person the one who heals, or is it Jesus who heals through the person? So this guy was never calling on Jesus again. It was all about him and Reiki power. So when you look at this through the lens of Christianity, to me it's so obvious how wrong it is, how the spirits trick us, and it has been blinding. Even nuns in convents are using Reiki and just not aware of where it comes from or what's really going on. And to give just a couple more stories, I had Reiki sessions before my conversion, and my last one, it was in the basement of a church. It was
wow.
Yeah.
Like a Catholic church, or
no,
just
it wasn't
church?
a Catholic church.
Okay.
It might have been Unitarian Universalist, which, well, they're more New Age, but it might have been United Church of Christ. I can't remember. It was on the East Coast, and in the basement, everyone was on a cot or like a massage table with people putting their hands on it. Well-intentioned people wanting to heal, not evil people, you know. Mm-hmm. And I felt this energy come into me, and it was despair. And I started weeping and sobbing and sobbing and sobbing. I actually had to tell him to stop, and I got off the table, and I started to want to shout out, "Somebody help me, somebody help me." But my rational mind thought, "What are you doing? No one here can help you." That's how terrible I felt all of a sudden. And I got back in my car. I started to rock back and forth saying, "Help me, help me, help me." And I think back to that, Kendra, and I shared a bit of my story in one of our episodes, but I really think that rocking back and forth in the car and shouting out to, I didn't know, the universe, I wanted somebody to be there, was a moment when God definitely, and the Virgin Mary, wanted to help me. Because I literally was saying aloud, that's how crazed I felt after Reiki, "Help me." And I met a guy at church about 10 years ago. He was struggling with the faith. He was wondering whether he should come into the Catholic Church or not. And he just openly shared this experience he had of Reiki. He said that his neck was so tight, and he was really in the, he was a very sweet guy, very heavily into the gay movement. And he was with a guy, and the guy had just become a Reiki master. That's the highest level with the most, quote unquote, healing power. And you can use symbols, which might be these symbols that were flying around, that you send people the symbols. You do long distance Reiki once you're that high up. And so this guy was saying, "You know, I can heal that. I can heal your stiff neck." And he said, "Okay, sure." And he thought it was weird. And the guy said, "Yeah, I can heal people. It's a little weird though, because ever since I've been a Reiki master, I feel like I walk down the street and people run away from me." He said, "I feel like I have this energy, and people are just like, they run away." He says, "I don't get it. I feel different. I feel weird, but I have this power." And so that's what he shared. And so the guy from church sits down. The Reiki master puts his hand on his shoulders, and he said he felt this. And the guy, the Reiki master, says, "Whoa," as he does it. He said, "Did you feel that?" And he didn't feel it, but the Reiki master said, "Wow, all this energy poured through me into you. Whoa," that was like electricity. And the guy from church thought, "What a big show. This guy's such a show off. What's the big deal?" But then he started to move his shoulder, and the intense, immovable, painful crick was completely gone, and he felt loose and free in his shoulder. It was just gone. And so he said, though, that after that, he didn't want to go to church. And he started to sleep with more and more guys. Like, his promiscuity blossomed after that. And so what I learned from a nun was that, yes, indeed, the devil actually can heal. But since he can't truly heal forever, and he can't certainly heal the soul, he goes in, he'll do something to the body temporarily, give a temporary healing of the body with his power, and go directly into the soul and hurt it. So like a person might do something involved in the New Age and then get a physical healing, like go to Santeria or all these witchcraft or whatnot. That's why people come back, because they see some kinds of results. But then they'll get a divorce, or then they won't pray the rosary anymore. And that's how the devil gets in. So I wanted to share that, because the New Age is so tricky. And it relates to my story, and that was a low, low point of calling out in absolute desperation.
Oh, I thank you for sharing that, because I think there's a lot of people that don't understand that the devil isn't going to come to you in a big, dark, black gown with red beady eyes and, worship me. I mean, that's not how he sneaks his way in,
No.
because he sneaks. He's a sneaky, cunning liar. And we, in seeking for something more, and sometimes go to the wrong places. Even like when I was a kid, light as a feather, stiff as a board, where you would stick your hands underneath your girlfriends at a sleepover and you'd lift them up in the air. I invited, spirits into me. We invite them in the weirdest ways. People can go to Africa and participate in something, and they have no idea that they just opened themselves up. I just talked to a woman today at lunch who said that her husband, when you say they come back, they get a divorce. Well, that's what happened. He came back and they were about ready to get a divorce until they went through a deliverance process.
What were they into that led to that?
I don't know we didn't get into that, but it was something that he did or picked up or came across. He didn't specifically go there for something, but when he came back, I think Africa is a pretty scary place for this particular thing that happened to him.
Places,
I don't want to, taboo Africa. I mean, it happens right here. Hello, in the East Coast.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way,
and Africa can be pretty Catholic and Christian.
Right.
Places,
it's booming. It's booming in Christianity. So like I said, I'm not, labeling the whole place, but that's where he went. But I have to call bunk on this guy who went on a quote unquote mountain in Chicago. There is no mountain in Chicago. I live.
Oh, no. I don't think.
I
misspoke. He went to Chicago to seek things, and I think he went back to Japan and stepped on that mountain.
That's to say, I've called bunk on him already. There's no mountains in Chicago.
Japan. There are mountains.
Oh, that's funny. Okay,
at the top of a tall building in Chicago. No.
All right, so you go try to find everything, and for those of you who are just joining us, it is find something more, find your way home with Kendra and Christine, and we're talking about our journey. We're continuing from our first couple episodes, and we're going to start with Christine. We just got done chatting about her new age experience and all the things that you were trying to do in your life to find God. Then you have this amazing, miraculous healing through Mary's intercession from a friend of yours who was praying for you. And boom, your body feels this pop. You had cervical cancer, 6 weeks to live, and all of a sudden you have a miraculous healing. And so I'm just kind of bringing people up to speed. Now I want to know, okay, so this happens to you. You're an atheist. You've tried everything under the sun. Your parents are going to think you're nuts, right? I mean, what did you do next? Did you just all of a sudden decide, oh, I'm healed and I'm going to be Catholic? Or what happened to you from there?
I became a very obnoxious convert. I was one of those who just was so happy. Happy is not the right word. There are no words to express the gratitude from going from death to life.
Now, I gotta intersect. You had your hair was falling out. You were your physical symptoms were brutal. Was your instant pop associated with a physical healing as well? Did you see and feel immediately oh my gosh, I'm totally healed? Or did that take a while?
The internal bleeding stopped, my hair stopped falling out, and I had more vitality. I wouldn't say that I was going to run a marathon at that moment. I was still weak, but not the same weakness. And I think what really fueled my body at that moment was a surge of we're body, mind, soul, and spirit, right? Everything's connected. And so the fact that I was so happy and so grateful and not bleeding, and I was given the gift of faith in a second. So I know this is very unusual. I've never had a doubt since then that Mary or Jesus existed, a doubt that they existed. I never doubted their love. And especially Jesus's love. It took me a while to feel Mary's love. We talked about that last time. But I just loved them, and I wanted to follow this path because I had been in a living hell. And I found that there was meaning to life. There was a purpose to life. And all my New Age searching was about, is there any point to this? Does someone love me? Am I being guided? What's going to happen after I die? What am I supposed to do? I mean, I had all these questions, and Catholic Christianity just instantaneously answered everything.
Wow.
You're here to love God with all your mind, heart, soul, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself, and to save souls. And that's boom. That's the answer. That's why you're here. Does someone love you? Yes. Yes, someone loves you more than you can imagine being loved. Are you being guided? Yes. Every step of the way, if you're willing to pray, you will find out the Lord's will. You will have choices. There'll be choices between two goods. There'll be choices between a better and a good. There'll be choices between a good and an evil. There'll be choices presented to you between a bad and a worse. But within all those choices that you're going to make, Christine, every day, there's a force of love called God. And it's not just a force, it's a person who has feelings, who understands what it's like to be human. It's not this universal life force energy that, cares about you a little bit, but is hard to talk to and amorphous and not that cozy, quite frankly. So I really remember saying after my conversion, oh my gosh, if everything goes wrong, if my arm gets chopped off, if I lose my entire family, if the world goes to hell in a handbasket, I have Jesus, I'm okay. I mean, yes, I'll grieve, I'll be sad. Yes, it'll be hard. Yes, life will be a drag. But I got Jesus. I mean, I found this quote before we got on the air today because this is a quote that describes what happened to me. It's by the Spanish Basque Jesuit priest who served as the 28th Superior General of the Society of Jesus between 1965 and 1983. And this is a famous quote from him, one of my favorite Catholic quotes. He said, this is Pedro Arrupe, "Nothing is more practical than finding God. That is, than falling in love in a quite absolute, final way. What you are in love with, what seizes your imagination will affect everything. It will decide what will get you out of bed in the mornings, what you will do with your evenings, how you spend your weekends, what you read, who you know, what breaks your heart, and what amazes you with joy and gratitude. Fall in love, stay in love, and it will decide everything."
Oh, that's beautiful. And now we have to take a break. And that's a great that's a great spot to end. Wow, that's an awesome quote. Never even heard of that guy.
Yeah,
so
I'll add that to the YouTube video of this if you'd like. You just look down below the YouTube video of this episode, and I'll post it there for y'all.
I love it. I love it. Okay, we're going to take a little break right now. You are listening to Find Something More, Find Your Way Home with Kendra and Christine on Radio Maria USA.
This is the
Radio.
I will rejoice and be glad in it. Wanna break away, dive into the day. Know that I'm alive. Soak up all the sun until I come undone. Know that I'm alive.
You can lead us on the way.
So
Okay, girls, back in 1 minute.
I'll start talking first.
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect. You're not going to share your 4-time coming back to life thing with us now?
The first time my mom was pregnant with me, a roof came on top of us. Second one was when the doctors diagnosed or said that I might be born dead due to the fact that my mom went through a lot of scary stuff. Third time I was run over by a truck. And the fourth time someone pulled a gun on me, which we all thought it was unloaded. which it happened to have a bullet on the chamber.
Where did it hit you?
No, they didn't hit me. Like, we thought the gun didn't have a bullet because they pointed it at my head. And it actually did have a bullet on it.
And they didn't pull the trigger,
like
right?
Russian roulette,
I don't
but
know. It was loud. It was at a club.
Oh my gosh. What was the first one? How were you saved from death the first time?
My mom was pregnant, and we she was at a kitchen, and this happened in Mexico. So it's like she was in a kitchen, and the roof fall on top of her.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh.
You're
a miracle baby.
Blessed boy there.
Miracle baby.
How old are you, Louise?
30.
Okay. Oh my gosh, all that's happened to you. You're a baby. You're gonna be here a long time. You got 9 lives, right? You got 5 more to go. I
think so.
Thanks for sharing that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Song ended already.
Oh.
Let me. Oh, by the way, that whole story that was for you guys, not for the audience.
Okay.
Yeah.
Be right back. You're listening to Radio Maria, Christian Voice in Your Home. We're now returning to the show. Find something more. Find your way home with Kendra and Christine.
Thank you, Louise. Thank you for messing that up. I'm just kidding. I'm Christine. This is Find Something More, Find Your Way Home. And I'm going to ask Kendra about her. We talked about me in the first half of this show. We've got another half hour to go. And so, Kendra, were you like me after your conversion moment in the Sacrament of Reconciliation? Did you just say, I have found it, Eureka, let me give my whole life to this?
So to refresh people's memory, mine was in a confessional. It was my second time back in the church, and I hadn't been in decades. I had many mortal sins on my soul, and I happened to go to confession on Divine Mercy Sunday, which you can hear all about on the show where I share my conversion story. Christine shares all of the beautiful gifts that happened on that day that I had no clue when I went in there. And I had an extraordinary out-of-body experience. My entire, I came and I floated out of my body. You asked how far it was, maybe a foot and a half, 2 feet behind me. So I could pretty much see everything around me. I could picture the back of my head, my shoulders shrugging from crying, as the priest was absolving me from my sins. And then when I came back into myself, I really didn't feel myself in my body. I did feel this warm, rushing waterfall of warmth. And I kind of I was there, I can feel my knees, but I wasn't quite sure what was going on. And then it was like somebody plugged me into the wall, and I had all of this energy and electricity kind of vibrating through my body. It was the most crazy. And honey, I've done every drug on the face of the earth, and I could have taken them all at the same time, including every alcohol at the same time, and never felt like this ecstasy and this incredible energy that I had. So this is what happened. I float out of the church. Literally, yes, I'm walking. I'm not floating out. That would be really miraculous. But I sat in my car crying, thinking, oh my gosh, what is that? Because that was nothing that I've ever experienced on this earth. That was God. That was supernatural. And so at the same time, the Holy Spirit I had no even idea what the Holy Spirit was. I didn't even know who Jesus was at this point in my journey. I just thought he was God's son. I still didn't even know why Jesus died for us. This is how clueless I am about everything. So no, I did not have this Saul to Paul kind of conversion that you had, but I did have this thirst to go figure out, what is that Catholic thing? Because what happened to me in that church as I sat in my car, I got to find out if this Catholic thing is true. And so I started doing my research, honestly, to prove that it wasn't true.
Oh, really?
Even though, yeah, right? Kind of messed up. You had this amazing experience.
Now, why do you think that was? Why do you think you were on a quest?
Because I didn't want to change. I don't want to live by everything the church taught. I was either living contrary to it or believed opposite of it. So how am I going to change? I'm not going to change myself. There's
how
no
did you
way.
know what the church taught?
Well, I knew enough that, okay, sleeping outside of marriage, before marriage, and during marriage, I kind of did both of those. I knew that homosexuality was not accepted in the church, and I didn't care. I mean, hey, love is love. It creeped me out and it grossed me out watching it. It wasn't for me, but hey, it's your deal. You can, to each his own was kind of how I lived. So, yeah, I knew enough of what the church taught, and I found out so many more as I got down my journey. And that was where all of the challenges came. So the first thing, I had no clue what the Eucharist was. That was the first thing I stumbled on. And
you had no clue. How did you find out what it was?
Because the first Sunday I was in Mass, peace be with you, the priest says, and I'm like, and also with you. And I realize everybody else is not saying, and also with you. It's, and with your spirit. And so I was not going to go back to Mass.
So did you have the big loser?
Totally. It's like that.
How loudly did you say it?
I belted it out because honestly, I was thinking in my head, oh, I know this one. And also with you. And I'm in the back row. So like everybody can hear me because I'm in the back row. And I'm thinking the woman in front of me must be like, oh, this poor honey has not been here. So I found out that it was actually changed in like 2011, I believe. And I was in church in 2013 of Easter. So a couple of years.
It's been that long. Wow.
It had been that. Yeah. And I wasn't even going to Christmas or Easter for 2 decades. So you have to understand.
Okay. You really didn't know.
Nothing. No. I mean, nothing. So here I am online looking that up. And of course I stumble into the Mass and I stumble into the Eucharist. And I'm like, what does that word even mean? Right? Isn't it the host, the bread, the communion wafer, the wafer, right? And that was when I started stumbling on these Eucharistic miracles.
Oh, so it was online.
It was my entire journey has been online.
No way.
I was that one in the back row all by myself, keeping to myself, right? I didn't want to screw up and not stand up and kneel or say the wrong thing. So I was watching everybody else, making sure no one could pinpoint the idiot back there, right? And then I had nobody to talk to ever in Mass. So I never went to any church function. I didn't look for spiritual companions. I didn't talk to the priest. I cut in there and I sat down like right before the Mass started. And then I was sneaking out, after the last blessing. I was there for that, but I was ducking out before the priest got
Why do you think you being so social, you didn't want to talk to people about it?
I kind of, okay.
Was it that first mess up? And also with you.
That didn't help, right? Because I thought all these people are holier than me. Every single person in here knows what they're doing. They know exactly why they're here, what the purpose of this thing is. And I just don't want to come across and be an idiot. Oh, by the way, just so y'all know, I've been out there speaking for the past year and a half-ish. And I'm telling you, that is not the case. There are so many people that go every week on Sunday and have no clue why they're there. They're just there because grandma and mom and dad told them to go, and it's part of their hour of the week. And they have no relationship with God. They've never had a miraculous, encounter. They've never had like miracles happen. That joy that you're talking about, that was what changed me. So I was so filled with joy. And it was like everybody noticed at work and everything. So that's why I said, okay, it wasn't just this moment in the confessional. Something's changed in me. And of course, that thirst of trying to seek what the truth was and find all this stuff out. So, man, I was online like 3-4 hours a day researching the faith.
Now, that's interesting that you say that because the Virgin Mary asked me to start queenofpeacemedia.com. And the message to my heart was people are being lost because of the internet, because of what they click on. I want stuff out there, as you'll see on queenofpeacemedia.com. We got videos, we got all sorts of things you can read, and most of it's free, plus my books, and you can be saved. You can pass that stuff along. You can email it to somebody else. You can tweet it, whatever you want to do, or just watch it and show it to your kids. people are reporting that they're coming back to the church, that their kids are saved, so forth and so on. And so I just really want to urge y'all, it's very important what you click on, and it's very important what you don't click on.
Yes. Now, I didn't go search out other stuff. So God had me, like, I'm Catholic, even though I know nothing about the faith. God had me on a path. And I just want to say, in case anybody is joining us, we're on Radio Maria. This is Find Something More, Find Your Way Home with Kendra and Christine. And I'm just sharing my long journey to really understand the Catholic faith and kind of prove that it's not really true, because I kind of like sleeping in on Sundays. I didn't know it was a mortal sin not to go to Mass on Sunday. I didn't know I needed to be in a state of grace to receive this holy wafer, which I now know is the real presence of Jesus Christ through all of these links and these amazing miracles. And I want people, I have a blog out there, and I'm sure there's millions of them out there. You can go to kendravonEsh.com/Eucharistic-miracles. And I put a bunch of links to all of the miracles where atheists like your former self and people that wanted to prove that this is not real flesh, real blood, the real DNA of Jesus Christ. I mean, thank you, God, for giving us some proof. He knew that this was too difficult for us to believe. Yeah. So he gave us some proof. And that was what changed for me. And then when I realized I was not married in the Catholic Church, I couldn't receive the Eucharist. Even though I just went to confession, I was heartbroken. I was like, what do you mean I can't receive the Eucharist? Because I actually met with a priest the week of my confession thinking, I don't know. Why do I meet with a priest? All I know is whatever happened in that church was totally messed up for me. And I've got to find out what this Catholic Church is about. I remember he handed me the compendium and the catechism of the Catholic Church. Dude, it was like a 3-inch thick book. And then, of course, the 200-page book. And I'm thinking, I don't even read, my man. What do you think I'm going to do with these books you just gave me? Like, I never cracked them open for like 5 years.
So how did you go from, I'm going to prove this thing wrong, to believing and thirsting for more? What was the switch?
It was everything that I kept coming across. So it was first the Eucharistic miracles. That was the game changer for me, because I said, okay, now I understand why Mass is so boring, right? I mean, because we're worshiping God and we're being so reverent. We're not partying it up and having a big social club, you know, which is what I was going to go to my first time back in the church. And again, you can listen or get my book. And so here, I'm going to pimp myself for a moment, because if you go to kendravonEsh.com, or
she didn't, what she really meant was I'm going to sell my book. That's what she really meant.
No, I meant pimp. I'm gonna pimp my book out.
No, she didn't. No.
All right. I'm going to promote my book.
Yay! There we go.
So here's the deal. The reason I wrote my book in the way that I did, and I kept it really conversational, because I wanted all of the people that I was speaking to in parishes, because I know that I wasn't going to go to a parish event. I'm thinking nothing against, some of these parish events, but they're all going to be,
boring
not
people
me.
Like me.
They're not going to be me, right? So I didn't see many people like me in Mass, and I'm thinking, I'm not going to that, so the reason why I ducked out a lot was because I didn't want to meet people, and then all of a sudden I'd have to volunteer. They're going to want me to do something for this church, and I just want to go in, go out. I was really introspective with my faith journey for the first probably 4.5 years. It's only been a 6.5-year journey. So it was very much me. Mm-hmm. I was learning on my own, and I, didn't even really talk to the priests until I ran into one, and then I talked to another one. And then I started making the decision that I've got to get out there and share the fact that this faith changed my life. It's not just the sacramental graces, but of course, Jesus, and the transformation that I've had is just incredible.
What pushed you out? What made you go from introverted, introspective Kendra to I need to go out and evangelize?
God. So I'm in adoration. I don't even know what adoration is. Half my career, half my journey. I have no clue. I hear about it on the radio, and I go sit in front of Jesus, and I heard write a book. Write a book, write a book. And I heard it for 2.5 years. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll write a book. And I was in between jobs. I was in between, like my job was being eliminated at this software company. So I had a moment to sit and reflect a lot. And I spent a lot of time in adoration. And I kept hearing, you need to go share your story. You don't need to go back to corporate America. And that was the moment that everything changed for me. So I had still not gone to events or church things because every time I would look at the board, it would be like a Bible study or something like that. And even though I was reading scripture and I was listening to the Bible, and I'm going to give props to Truth and Life Audio Bible, Mike Stark, it was a game changer for me because it was actors and actresses.
And you didn't have to read.
I didn't have to read. And so the funny thing is, I used to look at God and say, why do you want me to write a book? I don't even like reading. I like reading. Don't get me wrong. I like reading, and I love reading spiritual readings now. Back in the day, I was a Harlequin romance chick. I mean, hilarious what I read now. But I don't have a lot of time, and now we have all these audiobooks, which my book is also on Audible, narrated by me. So if you don't have time to crack it open, it's only 186 pages. But at the end of the day, my point of writing the book in a conversational tone in a way that I didn't want Catholicism to be true was because honestly, I like my life. I like my hedonistic me life, money, you know, do what I want when I want, forget the world, you know, and your truth is your truth. My truth is my truth. I don't know what the truth is. And the truth is a person. The truth will set you free. You know, like I heard that phrase, I can't tell you how many times in my life and had no idea free from what? The truth of what? You know, I had no clue, no clue.
Yeah.
So my journey was long. And then when I truly started looking up stuff in the catechism, and then I started talking to people, this was when I decided I'm going to leave my career. And then I started engaging in churches and different parishes because I said, I got to understand kind of how this whole parish thing works if I'm going to try to be out here speaking in them. Mm-hmm. I didn't know kind of the cycle of the church, you know, like it kind of calms down in the summer and obviously the heavy times are in the Lent and the Advent season. But I just dove in. And one person invited me to a Marian Movement of Priests prayer group, which I honestly thought was just going to be praying the rosary, and no insult here, but I just thought with a bunch of grandmas, right? And I walk in there and I hear Mary talking to Father Gobi in the book, the big blue book, about we are under attack. Now I'm in my la land with Catholicism. Yes, I know about the priest stuff, the Pennsylvania stuff hadn't come out yet, but I know all of the pre-scandals. I know the dirty stuff that has happened in the church. But I wasn't diving into things like that on my research. I was diving into the teachings of the church and the understandings of the church. And at that time, I had to, you know, I really had to look at myself in the mirror and say, can I really accept this? And then I would go down another path. And then the more I would research, I'm like, what do you mean birth control is a mortal sin? The hard one for me was abortion, you know, because I just kept thinking, well, it's their choice. It's their body. You know, of course, all the sexual sins, like why is pornography bad? Why is self-gratification a bad thing? I mean, that's just between you and yourself. You're not hurting anybody. And so a lot of these things were tough for me to accept, but when I read them in the catechism and I really asked God to lead me, that was the moment I stared myself in the mirror and I said, what? Like I did this. I was like, what? For those of you who are on the radio, I'm going really close to the camera. What are you going to do now? Because this is the truth. And I said, I got to change. I mean, and I don't just have to change one thing. I've got to change like everything, every belief, every action, every word. I mean, I was a truck driving, swearing potty mouth. I was a raunchy joke teller. I was the guy's gal, right? I mean, I made guys blush. I would drink them under the table. I was the party animal. And here I am like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And so that was the moment, a big moment for me where I tried, you know, to do it myself. We could talk about that at another time on another show because I was not successful trying to change, trying to forgive, trying to love like I'm supposed to, the 2 greatest commandments. You said it. Love thy God with all thy mind, body, strength, and soul and might. And here I am like, okay, keep him in your life every day. Well, how do I do that? I didn't even know how to pray. How do I pray? Who do I pray? What do I say? Is that just like I sit down, I pray in the morning, and then I'm good? I didn't understand. You live with God. And I've come so far in such a long way, but only through his graces. Only was I able to transform all of my behavior because of Jesus Christ. He is the truth that sets you free from what? From sin. He changes you so that you can do it. And oh, by the way, it's not a boring loser life like I thought. Like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do if I'm not, smoking pot and doing this drug and all this kind of stuff? It's amazing because of the joy that he brings into your life and the love for people. The way, the truth, and the life is Jesus Christ, period. Oh, and by the way, and the sacramental graces of the Catholic Church, period. It's the fullness of the truth. Okay.
Amen, Kendra. That was Kendra Von Esh telling you her fabulous story of conversion. And if you want to read more in her book, go to www.kendravon.esh.com. And for those of you listening who wonder, well, why are they so excited about their faith? When is it my turn? My life is blah. I don't hear anything. I don't see anything. Well, as a counselor and spiritual director of many, many, many years, I can tell you that when someone says that to me, I know that it's a matter of not realizing how God speaks to you. There's a very personal, beautiful, special, perhaps subtle way that God speaks to you. And if you think back through your life and you think back through certain moments when someone said something or you felt something, or maybe you were rescued from a really tough situation, that was God. So take a moment right now as we close, and please, audience, pray with me. Lord Jesus, thank you so much for all the ways that you come to us, that you love us each day. Thank you for saving me. Thank you for saving Kendra. And we ask that those of you listening, take your experiences, big ones and perhaps only small ones, and be bold like Kendra. Share them with the world. They happen to you, not for you to keep, not for you to hide, but for you to share, because no one can refute your experience. Your experience is the truth. Your experience of God is part of the way, the truth, and the life. And may you find something more and find your way home. And this is Luis's chance to come in and end our show.
That I did what?
I'm just like suffering in silence there.
No, I had an issue here, but it was
sorry. Okay, thank you. Thank you for sharing with us. Okay.
No, Luis.
Yes, ma'am.
Seriously, could we have it on our little video? Your story?
Sorry?
Your little stories? We have to cut that out.
Oh, no. I mean, it was recording.
We recorded the whole thing, so we were going to include it because you were on our last one too, when we kind of talked a little bit about it, and so we can cut it out. But I think it would be awesome.
Told the whole story. There's a lot behind it.
Yeah, I know, but you just gave us the 4 points, so at least we continue to keep the audience excited about.
Luis, can you just tell a little bit each show? Like the break could be one little more piece of Luis.
Seriously, it's fun. I think people are excited to see the whole...
and it fits with what I just asked people to do, to share and not keep their experiences to themselves.
True.
Ah!
Well, see you next week.
All right.
Thank you, Luis.
Take care, Luis.